A cordial greeting. Today is Monday, August 18, 2025. This is meteorologist Ruben Garcia. In this video I will give an update on the forecast for Hurricane Erin, which has strengthened again into a Category 4 hurricane as it moves east of the islands of the Bahamas. So I will talk a little about the local effects expected in North Carolina and South Carolina, as this powerful hurricane continues its north-northwest track over the next 5 days. Meanwhile, in the second part of the video I will also give an update on the tropical wave that we continue to monitor in the tropical Atlantic and that could approach the northeastern Caribbean by the end of this week. I will analyze the latest updates from the global models, since the National Hurricane Center has continued increasing the probabilities of cyclonic development. Let's zoom in on the infrared satellite animation of the impressive Hurricane Erin, which is located north of Haiti and the Dominican Republic. Currently, the Turks and Caicos Islands are receiving heavy downpours and some tropical storm-force wind gusts, while in Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, and Haiti, occasional showers are seen. However, the strongest part of the cyclone is beginning to move away from the region. Although last night Hurricane Erin managed to strengthen again into a powerful Category 4 hurricane, during today we have seen its structure start to lose some organization, and this is due to some wind shear from the north-northwest impacting the circulation. So there is a possibility that from now on Hurricane Erin may begin to lose some strength in terms of maximum sustained winds. However, as it continues to gain latitude, its circulation is expected to become increasingly broader, and in about 3 to 4 days the extent of tropical storm-force winds could double. So this means that some of the southern and central Bahamas Islands may receive tropical storm-force winds. Eventually, as it moves northward, some tropical storm-force winds may also affect coastal areas of North Carolina. This is why a tropical storm warning remains in effect for the Turks and Caicos Islands and the southern Bahamas. In addition, a tropical storm watch has been issued for the central Bahamas and coastal regions of North Carolina. Notice that there really have not been changes in the official forecast from the National Hurricane Center. In general, over the next 3 days, Hurricane Erin will move mostly toward the north-northwest and by Tuesday or Wednesday should begin to lose intensity. Also notice that the track will be between the United States and Bermuda, so the center of circulation and hurricane-force winds will not be affecting land areas. In this animation, notice how the circulation of Hurricane Erin is projected to continue expanding over the next 3 days. Here you can see that in about 3 to 4 days the extent of tropical storm-force winds may double, especially as it passes between North Carolina and Bermuda. These winds are expected to cover an area of several hundred kilometers. This is why, even though the center of circulation should pass well east of North Carolina, some tropical storm-force winds may affect coastal sectors and the eastern part of the state. However, these winds should not cause major issues. The main concern at the moment continues to be the strong waves that will affect the Bahamas, the Turks and Caicos Islands, Bermuda, and the entire eastern United States. Waves may reach 25 to 30 feet in height, so there is a high risk of rip currents and coastal erosion, particularly for the Bahamas, North Carolina, Virginia, Delaware, New Jersey, and New York. So great caution along the coast. Conditions will be very dangerous over the next 3 to 5 days. Let's now update the forecast for the tropical wave we are monitoring, which is currently near longitude 35 degrees west. In the infrared satellite animation you can see that the circulation remains quite broad and this system is still far from becoming a tropical cyclone. And although we have not seen cyclonic organization over the past 24 hours, the National Hurricane Center has increased the probabilities of cyclonic development to 60% over the next 7 days, after the tropical wave crosses longitude 50 degrees west. And it is in this area where it could find favorable conditions for the formation of a tropical cyclone. Notice that the potential development area covers the waters around the northern Leeward Islands, Puerto Rico, and the Dominican Republic. In addition, the 48-hour cyclonic development probabilities have increased to 10%. So, why will this tropical wave take so long to organize? This is mainly because it has a very broad circulation that is interacting with the intertropical convergence zone. And this is the main reason why development will be quite slow and probably will not occur until Thursday or Friday when it approaches the eastern Leeward Islands. Meanwhile, in green you can see the moist air accompanying the wave axis. And for now, this moist air mass is protecting the tropical wave from the dry air located to the west and northwest of the system. In addition, sea surface temperatures across the area where the tropical wave is located are not very warm, and it will not be until it crosses longitude 50 degrees west that it will encounter temperatures above 28 degrees Celsius. And this is where we really anticipate cyclonic development. Fortunately, it seems it will not have much time to significantly strengthen before passing over or near the northeastern Caribbean. Let's now look at the runs of the global models. First, I wanted to mention that we continue with a slight trend that it could pass just northeast of the Caribbean. However, remember that the margin of error at 5 days is quite large. So it is important that residents from the central Leeward Islands to Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic continue to stay attentive to its evolution. Let's now look at the run of the American model. This afternoon it has the tropical wave crossing longitude 50 degrees west during the night hours of Wednesday. And unlike today's midday run, notice that it keeps the tropical wave very weak as it crosses over the northeastern Caribbean. It would pass over the northern Leeward Islands, Puerto Rico, and the Dominican Republic between Saturday and Sunday. And it is not until it reaches the area of the Turks and Caicos Islands and the southern Bahamas where it manages to consolidate that center of circulation. Now, it is worth mentioning that this is the latest run of the American model. However, in today's midday run, it had a tropical storm crossing over the arc of the Leeward Islands during the night hours of Friday and Saturday morning. So what I want you to see is that between runs there are some discrepancies, which is totally normal for systems still in the process of cyclonic organization. And while the American model shows some significant changes in its projection, the reality is that the European model continues to be quite consistent in that a tropical depression can form near the northern Leeward Islands during the night hours of Friday or early Saturday morning. In addition, this model consistently has the circulation center passing just north and northeast of the Leeward Islands and Puerto Rico. However, once again, remember that the uncertainty in its track is high until we have a developed cyclone. The German model in its latest run also keeps this tropical wave quite weak and perhaps has a tropical depression crossing over the Virgin Islands during the morning hours of Saturday. Meanwhile, the UK model has the farthest track from the Caribbean region. In this case, it shows the circulation center passing about 100 miles north of the Leeward Islands. And although it is very early at the moment to speak of a certain track, I can tell you that at least with Hurricane Erin, the European and UK models had the best track projections. So with a little luck, we hope that the track just northeast of the Caribbean will be the one occurring with this tropical wave. But remember, we still have many scenarios, as shown by the ensemble projection of the European model members. Notice that there is a lot of uncertainty in exactly where this weather system could pass, as some members have a more westward track passing south of Puerto Rico. Others have a track passing northeast of the region. So this uncertainty will continue until we have a defined center. In fact, we see the same in the projections of the American model, but in general they keep a track a little closer to the Leeward Islands, Puerto Rico, and the Dominican Republic. So this is why it is important to remain vigilant, but calm, because we will have several days to monitor. Meanwhile, the ensemble members of Google's artificial intelligence model begin to develop this tropical wave as it approaches the Leeward Islands during the morning hours of Friday. And most members keep a track toward the northeastern Caribbean. So definitely this scenario would be the most favorable for the Leeward Islands, Puerto Rico, and the Dominican Republic. That is all for this forecast update. And although we would like to have a forecast with greater certainty, we will really have to wait about 48 to 72 hours to know where this system could be passing, and especially to know how strong it could be when it passes through the region. Preliminarily, everything seems to indicate that when it passes over or near the northeastern Caribbean it will be a tropical depression or a weak tropical storm. Well, here at Hurricane Info I will continue closely monitoring the evolution of Hurricane Erin and also what happens with this tropical wave, which will surely soon be designated as Invest 99. So keep tuning in to Hurricane Info. And before I leave, I wanted to ask you to like this video. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click the bell so that you receive notifications when I record new videos. Well then, with this I say goodbye. The next video I will record during the afternoon hours of tomorrow, Tuesday. See you later.